I love small talk. Now, most of us dismiss small talk as this nicety that we have to get through. It's a social convention that when we first sit down and talk with people, whether it's for the first time or the hundredth time, first you talk about how the weather, how are you doing, how is traffic getting here, news, sports, all that kind of stuff, right? I know it's very easy to just dismiss it as like, that's the boring stuff. Can't we just talk about what we're here to talk about? I totally get it. However, this is the key thing. Relationships are built on having some kind of context with each other, on knowing the person, not necessarily just the business opportunity, the job prospect, the hiring prospect. It's actually knowing each other on a personal level. And when you're sitting down, especially in a business setting, it can be hard to really break through and get to know that person on a deeper level. However, there is that beautiful window with small talk where you have the ability to get to know that person and to really peek behind the curtain and understand who they are, and they can understand you. So for example, when someone just is talking about their weekend plans, they're like, yeah, just with the kids all weekend or something like that. Well, what if you ask follow-up questions? Well, what do you enjoy doing with the kids? Or where are you taking them? If someone talks about traffic on the way over, oh, well, where are you coming from? Is that where you live? Is that where your office is? What made you choose that area, right? See, even the small little questions can make a big difference too. Now, once you have that information, then it's important that you capture it as well. This is the kind of stuff that normally, again, in a meeting, we're only focusing on the actual important notes. But again, if we want to know the person, if we want the person to know us, those small little details matter a lot, right? What were their weekend plans? How many kids do they have? What do they enjoy doing? All this kind of stuff can matter a huge amount. Now, one trick, by the way, that I embody all the time is if you find that it's hard for people to share and open up with you, there's this concept called leading with vulnerability, right? We tend to mirror what other people around us are doing, especially when there are no established social norms. When people ask how your weekend was, instead of just saying, oh yeah, it's good, just hung out, instead you list out exactly what you did, right? Yeah, I took my kids swimming, my kids learning how to swim. It's actually really great to see them be able to leave my arms. Or yeah, honestly, I was really struggling because I'm reading this book right now that's really interesting me, but I keep having to go back and flip through pages. And even sharing those little bits of vulnerability can say, oh, well, I guess I should be doing the same thing too. Well, here's what I did this weekend, or here's what I'm thinking about, or here's a book I'm reading. And that's the kind of stuff that can start a real conversation, open up a real relationship. So listen, I know small talk gets a bad rap. I've been guilty of sometimes sitting down for an hour and there's really nothing to talk about with a person. So again, the next time you are engaged in small talk, 1, ask the right questions. 2, don't be afraid to share yourself to get them to reflect back on you. And 3, take really good notes because you're never sure where it may end up. So cold winter morning, probably about 10 years ago, I was meeting with someone that we were trying to recruit for an executive position. And the meeting was fine, right? We talked about what our business does. They talked about their skills. And as we were getting up to go and starting to walk out the door, this was a cold, miserable Friday morning, I just asked, hey, where are you up to this weekend? And they were kind enough to share, oh, my kid is in a free throw tournament. I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. Does your kid play basketball? They said, yeah, my kid's really into basketball, potentially going to be doing some travel for it too. Now, normally that's the kind of information that would go in one ear and out the other. Fine, I'm trying to hire you for an executive role, not play basketball with your kid. But I noted it down, and when I went to send a thank you note later on, well, instead of just, sending a normal email or text message or something like that, I noted in my notes that, okay, kid plays basketball, so a basketball might be a good idea to buy as a gift, right? So went online, spent $20, had a basketball shipped to their house with a little gift note saying, I really appreciate our time together. Hope you and your kid enjoy this together. That completely changed our relationship because years later, he was still coming to me with interesting prospects or ideas or wanted to meet up, all because I showed I cared about them and I wasn't just another person, in their network. So whatever you can do to differentiate yourself, small talk can be a great way to learn a little bit more about the other person.